to that point you were talking about last week, I think, or the week before, where you just if you sit on the coast or if you sit on the riverside long enough, you're just going to see the bodies of your enemies flow by. And especially if you happen to be keeping receipts, which I know that you do.
Oh, the joke is, Semmler, I'll tell you what I'm thankful for. I'm just thankful for all the gifts the internet just bestows upon me on a daily basis, Semmler, because, yeah, obviously what you're referring to is I woke up today like, oh, nice morning. Cup of old Joe. Let's get go. What's going on in the newspapers today? Jeeves. Frankie Ward announced host of ESL Impact. What's this? 777. Ding, 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 ding. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I've told people in the past, you know what's mad, Semmler? I actually was going to let that go for real if she never worked for ESL again. If she'd never worked, because she hadn't, remember, since they joined with the Saudis and were bought ESL and Face It by him, she had actually technically never worked with ESL or Face It in any capacity, as far as I know. Now, if that was actually true, if somehow she had held, I would actually say fair play. You know what? I don't really totally buy it. Like, I do think I'll give you credit as well. Also skipped a major. That's a big deal. I don't know if she could have been hired for it. I don't know what her relationship with, but I imagine it was possible in that scenario. If she'd have really done it, look, I wouldn't give her mad props. All you did is not work for people you said would kill your friends. But that's at least something or something. That would be some level of commendation would be appropriate for that. But this is just whack, mate. Because here's the dumbest thing about it all. It's all come full circle, mate. Remember, it's not even something like she's working the major. If you work in the major, the angle would be, it's one of the biggest events in the calendar. I'm an esports professional. I don't want to miss giant events. It's actually in some ways more whack that she's just doing that female tournament. Because the joke is, she can't, the female tournament is the fucking flame, Semmler, and then she is the moth. They're but Frankie, they're all Saudis over there who mistreat women. No, but the flame though. But look at the beautiful flame though. But surely if I get next to the beautiful flame, I'll be nice and warm. No, Frankie, if you go towards the flame though, they'll burn you alive. They hate women, remember? No, but the flame, if I can just get to the flame, give me a break. So the joke is she's wrecked herself, guys. Basically, Frankie, spoiler, is working with ESL, who are owned by the fucking Savvy Gaming Group via the whatever it was, public investment fund, which is managed in a hands-on capacity by the fucking leader of Saudi Arabia. So essentially, the same Frankie who came out and not only decried herself having worked with the Saudi sports fund or whatever it was when it was the Games Without Borders thing. But then obviously most famously, she called out Blast over the Neon sponsorship and said how she would never work with them again if they were sponsored by it. And then when I pointed out, but you just worked with the Saudis a few months earlier, her comeback was, yes, and we need to learn from this, not to work with people who would kill our friends. That was literally how she phrased it. And even worse, are you ready for how she absolutely wrecked herself, Semmler? In theory, she could always still have plausibly denied that it was about the Saudis specifically. She could have said, oh, I meant specifically the Neon Project, because, the Neon Project did entail some other weird things. Neon. All that shit. But here's where she wrecked herself, Semmler. In the same tweet where she said, and let's learn not to work with people who would kill our friends, she just linked to a Wikipedia article about countries that have bad LGBT rights. And on the fucking map, I'm not joking, guys, go look, on the map, one of the countries filled in on the picture of the tweet that she put is Saudi Arabia. Chef's kiss, because they fully own ESL, the company she's now working for. And the genius of this, Semmler, I'm going to make one key point here, and then we're just going to drop and go to the next thing, right? But here's the one point I want to make, because I think it's a really key way to frame this. I'll do a whole video about her, don't worry about that. I was always something, listen, in this scenario, by the way, it's not even about her. It's about, I'm going to do the video to show what virtue signaling is like, because this is the ultimate example of it, where you virtue signal, you've gotten all the benefit and upside from it, and now you're going to cast aside the thing that you were getting props for and get all the upside of not following those principles. You just double dip all over the place. So here's the point I'm going to make, Semmler. It's a really shrewd one. So here's what happened, right? Frankie has said everything right about supporting women and about how she loves women. She loves equality and inclusion and diversity. But in her actions, she has chosen to work with people who murder, beat, oppress women, do all sorts of shit, treat women like second-class citizens. So her actions are actually that she doesn't support women, but her words say she does. Now, let me contrast her with a different figure in the industry. You know, Carlos, right? His team, G2, just won that Game Changers tournament in Valorant.
They did.
He has now, and he also built that team around Giuliano in CSGO and Zaza. So he has made some of the most legendary female teams ever. If you were to look at men who've had a big influence over like female esports, he'd be one of the biggest in the last few years. So those are his actions. Now let's look what he did wrong. Couple of slightly edgy tweets. So the message the esports industry sends you is this: it doesn't matter whether you actually support women or ever do anything to help or hurt women. You can even hurt women, by the way. Just don't ever tweet an opinion that women in esports don't like. That's the only conclusion we can take from this whole thing. If you put the two stories together, the only conclusion basically is you better tweet what I like. It's not even about if you help them or not. That's the maddest part, I still think. Because they do think, I mean, you know, on a smaller level, it's the same thing happened to me, mate. Like, the joke is, I have helped countless women in like a tangibly provable manner, and people still act like, yeah, but what about this tweet? So it's like, so now I know your hierarchy of values. A tweet you don't like is number one. Now, spoiler, everyone, because of a certain president, knew all they cared about was tweets. But like, this just really puts it in your face, mate. Like, how can it just be about tweets, guys? We can't run the world off tweets. It's about your actions, of course.
Well, it's because they're conflating tweets with actions. That's the thing. It's much easier to talk about something than to actually do something. Of course, yeah. That's always the get out online. That's why you shouldn't actually, you know, it's like a helpful tip there is that you shouldn't say what you're going to do ahead in advance. So you can, you know, it's like just do, and then your actions will show
absolutely.
It. I mean, yeah. We have again a reminder, guys, just in case you're wondering, Wick, we keep all of the links to what we're discussing in the description below. So there is, like I said, you know, Thorin's been keeping receipts, and so he did actually make a thread, a chain, a tweet chain on Twitter with the map, with the screen cap, and also with the screen cap. This was the one that I thought that was interesting, right? Because the last tweet you say, remember that Frankie wants to get people to call each other out, and that's why I don't, you know, that's why it's like, yeah,
you're gonna love this dude. Do you want to know the context of that? If you check the timestamp, you'll notice that's from 2018. Because here's what's genius. You're also going to learn a very key point. That's why I said I'm going to make a video, but the point of making the video about Frankie is actually going to be sort of like an anatomy of what like a virtue signaler is like. Because what you're going to find, Semmler, is this. It's the same shit you've seen a million times with cancel culture. Oh, no, don't cancel me. I'm one of the good ones. I can't be cancelled. Like, so then the entire principle was just a scam. The joke was all my enemies should be destroyed and all my friends should get no punishment. Because if you check the timestamp there, Semmler, what she was responding to was her calling me out. And what she was explaining there was that she thinks it's really important that we all publicly call each other out over any minor of, like, she's actually on some like struggle session shit, homie.
Let me read the tweet.
Privately. Yeah, go on. Hit me with it.
Can hear it. Like, so this is Frankie's tweet. Refreshingly, there's loads of commenters on the original thread calling him out, him being you. Also, there are a few of us who do point out this behavior isn't acceptable. It's just our voices aren't as amplified. I'm trying to get people to call each other out respectfully, in brackets, more often. So that is the thing where it's just like, okay, now if this is the kind of culture that you want to foster,
absolutely,
where it's okay to call people out and to hold people accountable, right? Well, then it's just desserts in a sense, right? Where the chickens come home to roost eventually, and here we are.
Also, think how nuts this is, Semmler. Remember this. When I pointed out, like, as soon as the Saudis bought ESL, that if anyone like Frankie, she was always my go-to example. If any of them work for them, they're just hypocrites, right? Dude, I don't know if you saw this. Multiple times she has had, like, mini tantrums on Twitter where she's sort of saying, like, why do people keep calling me out? I haven't even worked with them yet. Because one, you set the precedent, like Semmler just said, that you want people to be called out. And two, you had worked with them in the past and set what was an obvious precedent that was going to be called, this bill was going to be called to be paid at some point in time. And the joke is, this is how outrageous a human this person is, Semmler. She simultaneously wants to get mad at people like, why are you all calling me out? I'm not even going to work with them yet. Oh, what's that? A few months later, I do work with them. Well, what's the point then? She's the ultimate, like, have your cake and eat it person, mate. It's so ridiculous. Like, so now you get props for not working with them. Like, the joke there, Semmler, is that at this point in time, she wants like a humanitarian medal for all the days of the year she doesn't work with the Saudis. You know what I mean? Like, what are you talking about? At least over 300 days a year, I don't even work with people who kill my friends.
Oh, dude.
Give me a break. I know. Give me a break.
Here's your medal.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, you know, be a pleb and don't.